Hey, it's winning formula time from the TCO studios and courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery. The Minnesota Vikings have had a wonderful formula for winning all season. We're 6-1 and we're still having fun. I'm Paul Allen. Pete Bercich, former linebacker and coach for the Minnesota Vikings, analyst for the Vikings Radio Network, Gabe Henderson, Vikings Entertainment Network, and Vikings.com. TJ Hockenson, all 6'5" of him. He scored on us at US Bank Stadium earlier this season. The Vikings traded for TJ Hockenson. He'll play in this Commanders game. And Gabe, let's begin with you. Just immediately and initially, how and where does TJ help?
Everywhere. He's a 3-down tight end for this Minnesota Vikings team, and he's already on pace to go for over 1,000 yards. And I know you look at the yards, you see the stats, and you say, okay, well, this guy can stretch the field. Well, this Minnesota Vikings run offense got going last week with outside zone, and like Kevin O'Connell said, when you run outside zone, outside of the tackle and the tight end, that's a premier block for the tight end. TJ Hockenson is a phenomenal blocking tight end. You can put him in the run, you can put him in the pass, and I think he's just going to make a huge impact on this Minnesota Vikings team. Look at the stats right now. He's got 9+ catches of 15+ yards alone this year in 7 games. This Minnesota Vikings tight end unit only had 5 combined going into the 8th game of the year. So he's already going to make an impact, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he makes that do this game in Washington.
Yeah, and I think his ability to run block, especially in this day and age of 3-4s and the big outside linebackers, is going to be huge. And the better he blocks, the better it's going to be for him, especially in the red zone. RPOs, there's all kinds of different things that you can add to the mix. And we've seen what this, Kevin O'Connell and the Rams offense could do with a decent tight end before. Now you've got a guy who really is he's a very complete tight end. He's not a role player. He can do it all. And looking forward to him coming in here and doing all that.
Now, let's stick with the Vikings offense. Kevin and Kirk. Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins, they roll back to FedEx Field. It's where it started for Kirk, and Kevin was there for 3 years, eventually the offensive coordinator in 2019. Gabe, the Minnesota Vikings offense with Hockenson off that 173 on the ground they just put up against Arizona, it just seems like that running game opens so much for so many.
Yes, and it does that because you have to respect everybody else on the field. Now you have to look for a tight end in the middle of the field that can stretch you down the middle, or he can just moss you on top of your head and say, okay, I'm 6'5", you're 5'8". What are you going to do about it? So I think this offense becomes that much better because you have so many more dynamic weapons down the field. Dalvin Cook is going to be better by it. Everything else that this opposing defenses are going to have to do is to respect everything that you can put on film. And the fact that we haven't had TJ Hockenson in a Vikings jersey, you don't know how to game plan for him. So I think this game is an advantage for us because we can pretty much put him anywhere we want, and you don't know what we're going to do with him.
And Peter, with the Vikings defense, where are you noticing improvement from a 4-3 to a 3-4 as we navigate the season? Because like Eric Kendricks is making plays, we're getting takes in every single game from players who used to play here in the 4-3, and it probably has taken a little while to figure out the nuance of this 3-4. When you notice incremental improvement weekly, where are you seeing it?
I'm seeing it with the defensive line, especially with the outside linebackers on base downs. I mean, those guys on the outside, Danielle Hunter's really doing a great job. You're seeing Eric Kendricks get downfield now. He's not just hanging back and letting those D linemen take on the double teams. He knows that when he sees the right kind of play, the double team in front of him, he's just hitting downhill. So that TFL was like a light bulb, I hope, going off for him. Yep. He's done an unbelievable job in pass coverage. Like to see those guys all be able to blitz a little bit more because we know how well that all of our inside linebackers can blitz. So it's getting better. Chandon Sullivan showing up a little bit last week. He's a guy that, you've been out there, haven't seen a lot out of him, but he comes up big a couple times against Arizona. I mean, Patrick Peterson, I think, is playing as well as he's played in a long time. So everything's kind of trending upward on the defense.
Yeah, you look at just Patrick Peterson, for example. I think he's playing his best ball as a Viking the last 2 games of the year, and I think that his confidence. His play is elevating the play for everyone else, and that's why we're seeing Zadarius Smith being able to line up in other spots, because this defense right now is pretty much good enough to rush forward and cover on the back end. And that's, as a defensive coordinator, that's the position you want to be in, because you can pretty much disguise your coverages, you can do whatever you want to do, and it puts more pressure on the offense to be able to kind of guess what the defense is going to do, which hopefully turns into interceptions, more turnovers for this team.
Winning formula, bold predictions, and here they are. Let's begin with the analyst. Peter, 3-2, take it away.
TJ Hawkinson will catch his first touchdown.
Yeah, of course he will.
As a Minnesota Viking.
That's great. All right. Yeah, I mean, he's on pace for 1,000 yards, already has 3. I mean, that's a lot of bold in that one. But anyway, Gabe.
Yeah, I think that is definitely going to happen when you look at the tight end position of scoring a touchdown in the last 2 weeks. But Kirk Cousins will have his first 300-yard passing game of the season back at FedEx Field. He already leads the Washington Commanders in most 300-yard passing games in their franchise history.
Wow.
So why not just add that to that record also, because he's doing it at FedEx Field, and I think Kirk's going to have a big game.
Percent chance in the tunnel, walking to the locker room, he looks at a camera and says, "You missed that? You missed that?" You think he will?
Yeah.
He's going to be fired up.
Yeah, I'll miss it.
My bold prediction, you know, tight end Johnny Munt just caught the first touchdown of his career after I spent a month predicting he'd catch the first touchdown of his career, and I missed it. So my bold prediction, Johnny Munt catches the second touchdown of his career. It takes place at FedEx Field, and they all came to see TJ and left talking about Johnny. For Gabe and Pete, I'm Paul. That's your winning formula, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery.